Hello, gorgeous. This is Shannon Renee, one of your favorite makeup artists, and welcome to the Pretty Department. Today, we're going to talk about working with producers. Now, when you work in television and film and commercials, but today we're going to talk about television and film. There are all kinds of producers. I'm sure if you ever watched a film or watched a television show, you'll see all those names that pop up at the beginning and all those names that pop up at the end. They are all different type of producers and a plethora of other people. They're not just producers. So the big wigs are executive producers. So if you see an executive producer, those are the people that normally have most of the money or most of the money, and they are a part of the project, meaning they might be a writer. They may also be one of the creators of the show. So they can wear several hats underneath the executive producer role. Then you have line producers, and those are the people that have to deal with the money. You have UPMs, which is the unit manager producer. You have regular producer. You have associate producers. They're all different type of producers that are a part of television and film. So the producers that we're going to talk about specifically right now are going to be your line producer and your executive producers. All right. And sometimes your executive producer and your line producer go hand in hand, meaning it's the same person. Your line producer is the person that sometimes is the person that hires you, but the main thing is that they're the ones that are going to go over the budget with you. That's going to talk about like how much you get paid, what the rate is. If you can negotiate your rate, you're going to negotiate your rate with that particular producer. And they're the producer that's going to talk to you on a regular basis about the ins and outs of that particular project. If it's a television show, then each individual episode, that line producer is going to say, hey, what's your budget for this episode? Now that you've read it, now that you've gone through it, now that you know the needs that you need to be able to create this particular look, you would go over that with them and they would say, yes, this works. Maybe this doesn't work. How can we adjust that particular thing? So you're going to have a constant conversation with your line producer or your UPM. Sometimes your UPM and line producer is the same name interchangeably. They don't always go as a line producer. Sometimes they'll say UPM instead of line producer. So don't get, confused about, oh, I had a UPM. I didn't have a line producer. It's an interchangeable name sometimes. Your executive producer are the ones that are the highest of the high. They're the one that's normally putting in the most money for the film, or they're under a network or a studio. So let's say Netflix, let's say Tyler Perry Studios, let's say Paramount. Those are all big executives. So sometimes you have executives that are a part of, let's say, Paramount, for example, that are in Paramount that are nowhere near going to be on set. And they may come in and make guest appearances and show up on set from time to time, or you may never see them ever in real life when you're on set. But their names will be associated with it. And then you have executive producers that are going to be on set or in the office that are working on a regular basis to make sure that that project is getting done, and they're troubleshooting a lot of things. The producers are the people that hire you. Okay, if you're a department head, you're going to interview with those producers. Your name is going to go across that producer's radar, or across their desk, or their telephone, or their email, or word of mouth. They worked with another makeup artist, and let's say that makeup artist isn't available, and they're like, hey, I'm not available, but I would like to refer so and so. I would like to refer Shannon. I get a lot of referrals all the time. And then they'll reach out to you and say, hey, so-and-so makeup artist told me about Shannon, and I'm reaching out to you and wanted to know if you were available to do this particular project. If you do really, really good at that project, a lot of times they remember you. So when another project comes up, that director will reach out to you personally, directly, and say, hey, I have this project, I have this film, I have this commercial. I wanted to know if you were available. What's your rates? I know that you work well with this person. And let's say that producer didn't necessarily reach out to you as a department head. Sometimes the producer can also reach out to the key and say, hey, you worked on this project with me before. I know that you were the key on this project. I was wondering if you want a department head for this particular project as well. So you want to build relationships that are positive, and also working relationships with producers. You want to be as honest as possible about the things that they do need to know. You don't want to keep secrets. But like, for example, if an actor is struggling with something that is like personal and that's struggling, and it's not going to affect anybody besides maybe what's happening in the makeup trailer, maybe you need 2 or 3 more minutes, just 2 or 3 more minutes. The executive producer doesn't need to know about that, right? But if it's something that is like super big, for example, they're having a breakout with acne and we've done everything we possibly can do, and I really need that person to go and see a dermatologist, or I really need them to go and see maybe an acne specialist as well outside of a dermatologist. Then you would have a conversation with that producer and say, hey, I wouldn't normally talk about this, but I want to kind of problem solve this, and how do we do that? And they may need to throw money at it, or have somebody else come in and take care of it, or have somebody go to that particular actor's home and help with them with treatments as well. Let's say that you're having personal thing in your life. For example, congratulations, you're having a baby, and now you need to like take maternity leave. You would have to go to or have a few doctor's appointments that you need to like be away for. You oftentimes would go to the producers and say, "Hey, I'm pregnant, or I'm about to have a baby, or we're adopting a baby. I need to maybe have a little bit of time off. So can we just decide how that looks like? And, and I need to replace myself, or we could work out the schedule for that." So working with a working relationship with the producer is something that you should have in a positive thing. And it's just keep in mind that those relationships are the relationships that get you work, right? Rather it's directly or indirectly. So be kind, be appropriate, be professional, be on time, and be amazing. Thank you so much. Welcome